Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Jay's Fifth Down Podcast. I'm your host, Jaden, and today we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and how they can bounce back next season. Very disappointing way to end 2023. They lost in the playoffs to the Bucks. After all, the team just was not looking themselves offensively. A lot of miscues, turnovers were a big problem for them this past season. Another thing being, the offensive play calling was not that good either. So don't really know what the exact issue was specifically with the Eagles. A lot of people had their ideas, their conceptions about it, but they just weren't themselves in 2023. So I'm going to talk about how they can get back to where they were when they went to Super Bowl and how they need to get back to Super Bowl in this podcast today. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button in the right corner of your screen. And also hit that like button, share with your friends, football enthusiasts, family, whatever. We're just continuing to grow Jesus down here on YouTube, and check us out on all audio platforms. That means Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, whatever you find your audio platform podcast at. So, let's get started. So, Philadelphia Eagles, 2023, not their best season by like I said, any stretch of the imagination. Jalen Hurts, not his best year either. Finished with 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 20 total turnovers, had 5 fumbles lost. Offense just looked putrid at times. I don't know what the Eagles really need to do as far as now they bring in they're bringing Saquon Barkley, right? He comes in there. So now they have this dynamic playmaker in the backfield who can catch the passes. He can run very well. So that adds another dynamic to the offense. So I'm just interested to see how they're going to incorporate him into the game plan. And you have Hurts, of course, who can run, but he's got to be able to, be more consistent in the passing game. Also, the Reed's got to be a little bit more consistent. He has to be able to, like I said, read the field more, read the field better. He's got to be able to make those plays, when they're there, and try not to rely so much on the tush push, because that's not gonna, despite the success it is giving them, it's not going to. That alone is not going to give them a Super Bowl win. So they got to figure out how to make their offense a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more explosive, like they were this year. They went to Super Bowl and played Kansas City. That's what they need to do. So I think adding Barkley really helps in that. And then, of course, you still got A.J. Brown. You lost Quez Watkins. So they lost a few pieces. Still got Devontae Smith. So they got a talented offense. Now, Jason Kelce retired for the moment. So your top center goes. He's gone. So, the offensive line maybe look a little bit questionable there. But hopefully, for their sake, they get that chemistry going the offseason and going to next year, everybody healthy on the line and ready to be physical and pose over on teams. I just think, now coaching wise, Nick Sirianni's got to do a much better job in certain game situations. There's a couple examples of last year where he's making some very, very odd decisions, at crucial points in the game. And that's, you got to have your coaches, everybody's got to be on the same page. Your players got to be on the same page with your coaches and whatnot. So he's part of the blame for it too. But like I said, the Eagles they just looked awful last year compared to what they've been the year before. And defensively, they weren't at their best the whole season. Got ran through a lot with the ball. They couldn't really guard the middle of the field either that well. So that's something they need to continue working on. And you lose Hassan Reddick in free agency to the Jets, so he's gone. So there goes one of your top pass rushers. Although Bryce Huff, ironically, coming from the Jets, comes to sign with the Eagles. However, you're losing a lot of production with Reddick, and so you're going to have to be able to find somewhere to get that from, to get that pressure from, get that, like I said, just get that consistent pressure on the quarterback from, they're going to have to be able to do that, effectively. Brandon Graham is older. He's probably about to be out the league after this year. He came back on like a 1-year deal, I think. So they're going to have to be able to rush the passer like they always did. Fletcher Cox retired too, so that's another blow to the defense line. Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter are going to have to step up for the Eagles defensively. The defensive line, they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to make plays. They're going to have to get pressure. They're going to have to stuff that run and not allow teams to just gash them up and down the field. the entire drive defensively. Secondary still got some question marks too. James Bradbury's coming back. He decided to come back. I think it was on a 1-year deal. Yeah, he came back on a 1-year deal. You know, expect to see a lot more Keely Ringo next year as well. So it's secondary. It's got its question marks. Safety is another spot I'm a little concerned about with Philly. They lose Kevin Byard in free agency, so that's something to think about as well. But you're thinking about it like I really think Philly's got the talent to win a Super Bowl. They just got to be able to put all together, have a consistent offense, consistent defense. They got to go out week in week and just dominate teams. Like I know they can. Like, I think Philadelphia, if they really focus in, if they really lock in, they can dominate teams. They got the playmakers to do it. And you add Saquon Barkley. I mean, you look at when they had DeAndre Swift last year. I mean, he produced 1,000 yards. A couple touchdowns. I mean, he had a good season with Philly. Now he's with the Bears, but he had a good season in Philly, and so that makes me think with a guy like Saquon behind that offensive line, a healthy Saquon, if DeAndre Swift's able to get 1,000 yards, I know Saquon definitely can get that plus more. If they can manage his load correctly, give him the ball when he needs to get the ball, stop the push stuff, I get it. If you can do it, then it's like, hey, why stop something that's working right? Why don't fix anything that's not broke? I get it, but however, teams know they know you like to do that, and they're going to game plan for that. They're going to have specific variations of how they're going to stop that. So you have to be able to adapt on the fly. You have to be able to run the football. You got to be able to run the football with your running back. Get the ball out the backfield to him. Things of that nature. So. I'm really intrigued to see what goes on with Philly this upcoming season in 2024. Like I said, I like the additions they made. A few of the subtractions that they had are going to hurt them a little bit, especially as we go throughout out the year. Like I mentioned, Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick. I mean, that's going to hurt. So, looking at their offseason additions, though, I think like. Just give me one sec here, guys. So they bring in Devin White too, right on defense side of the ball. Devin White, he's had an interesting career. He started off really good, like his rookie year, and then next couple years solid, but then he's kind of fallen off, and so Tampa Bay was like, hey, you know what? We're just gonna, we're not gonna bring him back, and he decides to sign with Philly on that 1-year deal, and I think this would be a good chance for him to kind of revitalize his career and help bring some speed and some physicality to that defense at the linebacker position, which is something that they desperately needed, consistently. And then you add him, the Kobe Dean. I mean, like I like the foundation blocks that the Eagles were building there on the defense. Even though a lot of them are from Georgia, but I like the foundation that they're building on the defense side of the football. And those guys are going to be great players as they continue to get older and continue to get more experience in the league. But for right now, they're going to need those guys to come through and come big for them if they want to make it back to the Super Bowl. So defense is key. Offensively, like I said, Jalen Hurts has got limited turnovers. Can't have 15 interceptions. You can't do that. You got to limit those turnovers. You got to have good ball security. You got to keep the football in your possession, things like that. And it's those little things, and Jeffrey Lurie, who's the owner of the Eagles, said this the other day. He's like, yeah, I mean, I want Jalen Hurts to be himself. I don't want him to be anybody else. That he's okay. Hold on one second, guys. Lights went out for a second. Oh, okay, there we go. So I don't know what happened there. But no, like I said, I want, like Jeffrey Lurie's like, hey, I want Jalen Hurts to be himself. And the thing, he thinks that part of the problem, he was struggling so much, but he was trying to be somebody that he's not, in which I understand. But Jalen also has got to be able to push the ball down the field consistently, better, read the field better, things of that nature. So, it goes both ways. But I think, looking at the NFC, of course, Dallas is not a threat to me. We all know what the Cowboys do every year. They get in the playoffs. And they decided they're not going to sign Dak Prescott to a contract extension yet. So that's interesting because he'll be a free agent after this year. So that lets me know that maybe somebody in that front office is like, you know what? I don't know about Dak long term. We don't know about Dak. So that's something to also think about. But looking at the Commanders, they made a lot of good moves. Dan Quinn is the head coach now. They brought in some really good players. So could they possibly be a challenge? Well, I don't know. We'll see. Depending on what they do at quarterback, most likely going to be Drake May or maybe Jaden Daniels. That'll be interesting to see how they shift their game plan depending on who they select with that number 3 overall pick, or is it number 2? That number 2 overall pick. So that'll be really quite interesting to see what they do. Giants, of course, we know they're not going to do anything. But the Eagles, this is their division. The 49ers are the only other legitimate threat in the NFC, like as far as legitimate. You got the Lions, of course, they're getting better, but I don't see the Lions challenging the Eagles really that much. I mean, like I said, they lost to San Francisco in the playoffs last year. I don't, like the San Francisco 49ers are the only, like, they're the other big bad of the NFC. So that being said, Philly's going to have to figure out a way to take them down, and get there, right? You're going to have to figure out a way to get there first, and keep themselves consistent, keep their offense consistent. Push the ball down the field, able to hold those leads. The defense has got to be able to hold those leads, not get gashed by the run game. That's going to be critical for this team in 2024. So, we'll see what happens. But, I mean, I really think – and you're bringing in Gardner Johnson as well. The safety spot should help them. He played there the year they went to the Super Bowl, so you're getting C.J. Gardner Johnson back there. They brought in Devontae Parker, very disappointing few years in New England after doing well in Miami. Now he goes to the Patriots. It's kind of a dud. But that whole system was just messed up from the get-go. So what can we really say about that? But I just think, like, Philadelphia's run out of time. I mean, like, Jalen Hurts is 25, 26, he's still young, but I feel like the window right now is like this is their window right now. They got to be able to get it. They got to get in this window right now. They got to get a Super Bowl. You give Jalen Hurts that big old contract. That, you pay that money to the Super Bowl winning quarterback or a quarterback that you think could take you to the promised land, to the championship. And so far, Jalen's done it once, yes, but it's like, I didn't see shades of that guy last season. I didn't see much of it. Sometimes you might get glimpses here and there, but I didn't see it enough on a consistent basis to warrant me saying, oh, well, you know what? Yeah, Jalen Hurts is definitely worth all this money. He's definitely worth this contract. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's a top 5 quarterback. Is he? I don't know. A top 5 quarterback. I mean, you got Mahomes, you got Allen, you got Burrow, Lamar Jackson. I mean, I guess you could put Jalen Hurts in that 5th spot, right? I don't know. It depends on who you ask. Some people might say Justin Herbert goes there over Jalen Hurts. Even though Jalen took his team to the Super Bowl, but looking at the stats and metrics of it, Justin Herbert, the more stat-wise, probably the better quarterback, on paper. But they're in kind of the same little boat. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I think they're going to bounce back, though. I think the Eagles will be back in the playoffs next year. They're too talented not to be. Hopefully, they just don't lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round. So that'd be twice that Jalen Hurts has lost to the Bucs in the playoffs. Because his first year there, they went and they lost to Tom Brady. That year, they went on that Super Bowl run. Brady was with the Bucs. They lose again this past season. So in the playoffs, it's very weird how things all line up and work out. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens with the Eagles and how they manage this continue to manage this offseason, the draft. Do they continue to add more defensive pieces? What do they do? But one thing's for sure, Jalen Hurts has got to lock in. He's got to lock in. He's got to be better. He's got to be the best quarterback in the NFC this year. Like for the Eagles to have a chance to even be in the Super Bowl to win, much less. He's got to be the best quarterback in the NFC. He's got to be the best quarterback in that conference. He's got to stand out again like he had that great 2022 season, and be more consistent and carry the team on his back. I mean, I think, well, not completely. You got Saquon, but he's still going to be a big part of it. Offensive play calling's got to be a whole lot better than what we saw last year. So it's a collective effort, coaches and players alike. You know, it's not just the players, it's not just the coaches, it's both. And when both are synchronous and they're all on the same page and they're doing all the things they need to do to be consistent to win, like that teams like that are dangerous to play, hard to beat. And the Eagles can be one of those teams if they just all get cohesive on the same page. So that's what I want to talk about today on the podcast, y'all. Can the Eagles bounce back? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit that subscribe button in the right corner of your screen. Make sure you check us out here on Jay's Fifth Down on YouTube, also on every podcast audio platform as well. We will see you next time on Jay's Fifth Down.